ACC play in 30 games against the best competition, I hit 400. And that's because I was constantly not caring about my results. If I went 5 for 5 or 0 for 5, it was like, well, let me look back. Was my timing good? Was my approach good? Did I find a couple barrels? Yeah, I mean, I had a good game. I just didn't get any hits.
Level. This is why.
Okay, so we got a lot of recruiting news coming out this coming week, but I thought we would start a series about certain things in baseball that are kind of never talked about, that are secrets that can take your game to the next level. And this first one I'm going to talk about is going to go into my own career, especially in college, where I had a phenomenal freshman year, freshman All-American, first team All-ACC, into my draft-eligible sophomore year, where I ended up having a sophomore slump. And what were the reasons behind that are things that I think do not get talked about enough in college baseball, in baseball in general, when it comes to your mindset and things that can set you up for success and things that will ultimately set you up for failure. Guys, you've seen the QR codes with our throwing program, our hourly consulting, and recruiting. They'll be up on the page right here. Make sure to scan one of those if any of them interest you, or if you have any questions about them, let me know in the comments down below. Please hit the subscribe button. Remember, most of you guys aren't subscribed if you like content like this. So let's get into it. So my freshman year, guys, and just to be simple, we're not going to go into all the numbers, but hit 340 with 90 hits as a leadoff hitter, okay? And what were the things that allowed me to have that kind of success? We're going to get into in a second. Now, my sophomore year, let's go freshman, sophomore, 256 with 66 hits maybe, something like that. I try to forget this year, so I'm not exactly sure about the hits. I know my 2 good years, I know exactly what my stats were. And then after sophomore year, we're going to have junior year, and we'll get into those numbers last and just see kind of with the difference in mindset and what ultimately led to me having a better junior year. Whether it was better in my freshman year, you guys will have to watch and see. So what were the expectations going into this year? Right? I'm the same talent-wise pretty much all 3 years. Did I get a little bit stronger? Definitely got stronger my junior year. But overall talent-wise, ability, basically the same. You know, there's not a, you get better with experience, but as far as what your mentality is going into each of these seasons can be a drastic difference and can cause you to have a great year or a bad year. So, first off in this year, low expectations on myself. What does that mean? I did not go into this season thinking I'm going to be all world, right? My goals, ultimately in high school, I had a goal of being a freshman All-American. But when I got to college and now I'm starting opening night and the first couple weekends I'm having some success, my goal that opening night and those first couple weeks before the season starts were I want to hit 300, get on base, score runs. Okay? I wanted to score runs. I wanted to be a good leadoff hitter for my team. I didn't have like, oh, get this many hits and hit 500 and do all these crazy things. I really didn't have hard numerical goals. I just knew I wanted to hit over 300 and like, you know, do a great job, play good defense. The low expectations allowed me to go in not putting any more pressure on myself than was already on me, right? I had the pressure of you're a freshman starting in the ACC. You're on a top 15, top 10 team in the program or in the country preseason, basically. And so there was a lot of pressure on us to have a lot of success because we were a very talented team, a lot of big leaguers off of that roster. And so low expectations, low numerical goals, not really, again, they weren't hard numerical goals. I wasn't like, I want to hit this for sure. I want to do this. I just knew I wanted to be a good leadoff hitter. And part of that was, you know, hitting around 300, high on base percentage, score some runs, etc. Right? Play good defense. So these were basically the only expectations I put on myself my freshman year. Even when I started out really hot, first month of the season, I was almost leading the country in hits per game, runs scored, triples. I mean, I was just started off so hot. It was really unbelievable, and it kind of caught me by storm. I mean, it was going so well, I almost didn't know how well I was doing, if that makes sense. It was like I just figured, oh, okay, I'm doing a good job. This is kind of what a good freshman does. But I was doing even better than that, and it kind of allowed me to kind of be, again, kind of naive to the fact of how good I was doing and just how kind of abnormal it was, especially that was the year they changed bats. So for me to hit 340 like I did with 90 hits, I led the ACC in hits that year in the regular season. It was just totally different to me. And again, we didn't really know how bad the bats were going to be as the season was going. We knew power was going to be down, but like compared to the years prior, we just really at that time weren't definitely sure about it. So let's get into sophomore year. What are my expectations going into this year? Well, I was freshman All-American, first team All-ACC in this year. So I think I've figured it out, right? I thought, I figured it out. I came in as a freshman, hit 340. I know what I'm doing. I figured it out. And what does baseball do when you think you figured it out? It humbles you. So first off, that was a little bit of my attitude. It was kind of like, I was all first team, freshman All-American, first team All-ACC, meaning I was one of 3 of the best outfielders in the ACC as a freshman. So I felt like, I had it. I went to the Cape Cod League. I hit like 290, led the league in stolen bases. So, just overall the year, I figured I had figured it out, and I knew what I was doing. My goals, and I'm not kidding when I tell you this is my goal. Hit 400. Now, you guys may think, I'll put average here so you know for sure what I'm talking about. But you guys may think, oh, yeah, that's not a bad goal, hit 400. You hit 340 as a freshman, and you see guys now in the era now hitting 400. Remember, these bats were so dead, exit velocities were down, you just did not get nearly as many hits. Like a guy like me, those ground balls that get through the infield now are not hits. This is what I want you guys to understand about the difference in eras, is what we all see, and you saw my video about the home run differentials. It's insane. But this applies to every batted ball. So a guy like me who was a low line drive, ground ball type hitter when I was in college, those ground balls that you hit okay didn't get through the infield. The ground balls you see now that kind of sneak through, those were all outs when I was playing. So you had to hit the ball even better for it to get through the infield, for it to get in the gap, for it to burn a guy over his head. So the reality is that hitting 400 in this era, though it was done by a few people, was just a ridiculous goal, because what this did, and I'll get into it in a second, it made me never satisfied what I was doing. So 21 games in, I'm hitting 358. Or 350, let's go 350, yeah, I think it's 358. Okay, so we're 21 games into the season. We're into the ACC schedule. I'm hitting 358. I'll never forget, I was pissed off I felt like I was terrible. I felt like I was so bad, and I look back and think, man, how naive was I? I was a kid. I just had no idea what I was doing and no idea how to set up my mentality to allow me to have success. So I thought I'd figured out, I put huge expectations on myself, and I'm doing really well, and nothing could satisfy. And this is where I got my phrase, trying to get 3 hits with 1 swing. Because that was literally, it was like, oh, I'm hitting 350. if I'm going to get to 400 here soon, we got 40 games left probably in the season if we make a regional. So I got to, you start thinking about, okay, how many games you got left? And if I do this many hits, where will my average get to? When you're so just focused on your independent stats, and I will say this as well, like And I had team-oriented goals my freshman year. Very individualistic goals that I put on myself in this season. It was like, well, I hit that good my freshman year. I want to do even better. And gone was the, like, I want to be a good leadoff hitter for my team, score runs for my team, on-base percentage for my team, play good defense for my team. I still wanted to do that, right? But it was just the focus was way more on the individualistic goals. And so because I put all these expectations on myself, and again, some people are different. That may be great for some guys, but I'll tell you, the higher up you get, the huge, lofty numerical goals, a lot of times they can, for most people, like I would say 90% of guys, they're detrimental to your success and your overall performance in the season because you're always measuring yourself with how you're doing right now against what you wanted to do. And I'll tell you, my junior year, I'll give you a great example of, so this is what led to this, guys, okay? And so my junior year, what happened? My junior year, I learned a lot. I ended up hitting 360 with 98 hits. 98 hits, that number has still not been beat since I left Georgia Tech. That's the most hits in a season since I left my junior season. And it's the most since Charlie Blackmon, I believe, hit 99 or 100 before he got drafted. So it's been a long time, especially with those, that again, in that era, I don't know if the record would ever be broken. Now, with the way these bats are, I'm assuming it will. Drew Burress probably would have had a shot at it last year if he didn't walk so much and kind of get pitched around. So definitely someone will probably get back to that number eventually. But what allowed me to have even more success this year? Way more stolen bases, etc. So what was my focus? Is exactly what my goals were. Control what I can control. Control what I can control, meaning, and you guys have heard me say this, I can control everything until the ball leaves my bat. At that point, the result is the result. I have no control over the result. I control my timing, my mentality, my approach, my adjustments in the box, everything up to my bat hitting that baseball. At that point, the result, I can't control it, I don't care. So the first 10 games of the season, I think I was hitting 240. And here's the difference. Remember I told you in that sophomore year, I would always measure myself. I'm hitting 358, 21 games in. I'm measuring myself against 400 and all these other things I wanted to do. And it just, again, it was like I was pissed off because I would see that 400 number and it wasn't the one up on the scoreboard. Well, what I learned to do in this season, I'm hitting 240, about 10 games in, right? So it's not that bad, but you know, that thought was starting to get in my head like, yeah, you know, am I going to have another tough year? Pick a worse player on the other team. Man, this one saved me in my professional career so many times, and I learned it this year. There's always someone out there doing worse than you. So look at the difference here. Instead of me looking up at this numerical goal that's, you know, higher than I'm currently doing, better than I'm currently doing, and it's making me angry, I'm looking down at, man, you know what, I'm not feeling great about myself, but that guy down there, he's hitting like 180. At least I'm not that guy. And it instantly changes your perspective to like, you know what, I'm not doing so bad. And about 10 games in, I went on a tear, and by the end of ACC play in 30 games in the ACC, I hit 400 dead on the number. So in ACC play in 30 games against the best competition, I hit 400. And that's because I was constantly not caring about my results. If I went 5 for 5 or 0 for 5, it was like, well, let me look back. Was my timing good? Was my approach good? Did I find a couple barrels? Yeah, I mean, I had a good game. I just didn't get any hits, right? And that would upset me a little bit because, you know, I want to help the team win and I didn't get on base. So like, man, I wasn't able to help us win, but I did everything I could do. There's nothing else I could do in that game. I hit 3 barrels and got no hits. But I made some good plays on defense. I got a walk, end up scoring there. So you got to find the little wins. And I learned in this year to find the little wins. Meaning, I had success there. I made a great defensive play there. We won as a team. Who cares what you did individually? We won as a team. You can go back and look at your bats and be upset about it later, but we won today. So let's go hang out, have some fun, celebrate it, and come back again tomorrow and beat them again. Guys, these years, the difference in these years are what? In these years, low expectations. Junior year, freshman year. I did not put lofty numerical goals on myself. I made sure that, again, even in this year, I was kind of controlling what I could control. I didn't know it at the time. Team-oriented goals, get to the College World Series, win an ACC championship. We actually won an ACC championship my sophomore year. Maybe I should have struggled again my junior year. But that wasn't because of me. That was because the guys around me really carried the team. So I had low expectations freshman year, low expectations junior year. Team-oriented goals freshman year, team-oriented goals junior year. The difference in this year and my junior year, I let the goal judge me and make me feel inadequate. That numerical goal looked down on me like a judge and judged me inadequate. And because of that, I felt like I had to press to get to that number. My junior year, find the guy who's doing way worse than you on the other team and say, man, from up here, I'm looking pretty good up here, right? So your perspective, guys, secret number one is perspective / attitude. Your perspective and your attitude can totally determine the type of year you have. Like I said, was I way more talented my junior year than my sophomore year? No. Was I way more talented my freshman year than my sophomore year? No. I did put on some weight my junior year. That probably helped a little bit. But what separated these years was my perspective and my attitude. My perspective, what goals was I setting forth on the season? What attitude was I having during the season based on those goals? And the types of goals I made, how did they affect my perspective and my attitude? Guys, if you can get secret number one, perspective and attitude down for your season coming up this spring, it's going to make a massive difference in how you end up doing. Hope this helps, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll be going through videos like this the rest of the week on different secrets that I think are not talked about enough in this day of, you guys have heard me say it, analytics, launch angle, exit velocity, everything. These are things that can help you turn your season around or start you off in the right direction coming this spring. So let me know what you think, guys. Let me know in the comments. Looking forward to see what you guys think, all right? Be back with another one tomorrow.